I'm joined on the phone today by Chistine, Brice, and we're going to be talking about the Emergency Social Services Program and a couple of the courses they're offering right now. Thanks for joining us, I guess, this morning, Chistine.
Yes.
Through the magic of tape editing.
Yes.
First off, can you tell me a little bit about what the Emergency Social Services Program is and what you're all about?
Sure, absolutely. The Emergency Social Services Program is a volunteer program that's set up through the province. We work very closely in hand with the Provincial Emergency Program, PEP, as well as with the other first responders in our community. So if you are evacuated from your home for any particular reason, such as a fire or chemical spill, or if the power goes out for a long time and it's too cold to stay there, we are called in, and if you don't have somewhere else to go, if you don't have insurance to help you cover, say, the loss of your home in a fire, or you don't have relatives to go and stay with, then the Emergency Social Services will provide, emergency services for up to 72 hours. So lodging in a hotel, immediate clothing needs, immediate medication needs for those 72 hours, to give people a time to sort of think about, oh my goodness, what am I going to do next?
Yeah, how can I deal with the situation instead of...
And certainly there were lots of incidences, unfortunately, this Christmas season, we're seeing in the news where people were burnt out of their homes and they were in hotels. Well, that was provided for free for 72 hours through the Emergency Social Services Program.
Well, that's magnificent.
Yeah.
I can only imagine being in a situation where your home is forfeit for whatever reason, and having to deal with the immediate needs of lodging while you're trying to get all that other stuff that you have limited time to deal with out of the way as well would be.
And especially if you have children, okay, maybe I can go sleep on somebody's couch, but if you have children, the best way for them to get over that situation is to return to a routine as soon as possible. So, if possible, and everybody knows how accommodation, has its difficulties at certain times of the year here. But, accommodation where you can cook, where your children can go to their regular school and have their regular program is certainly a part of a family's healing process. So, yeah, we try and facilitate that as much as we can.
Well, that's magnificent. How do you do, is it a grant-funded organization, or do you do fundraising events for it, or can people learn more about it online anywhere? The
Emergency Social Services itself has quite a big chunk, I think, on the PEP website. Okay. Here in Ucluelet, we are a volunteer group. We currently are a society. We're in the process of changing that, actually, to come more in line with the district, to work more closely with the district. So we have done fundraising, and actually we have applied for grants. So I think it was 2 years ago we applied for a Clayoquot Biosphere Trust Fund, and we got a grant from them. And those funds were to go towards getting the neighborhood prepared, which segues beautifully into the main reason why I called you today, is that we are hosting a neighborhood preparedness program workshop on January 22nd. It's a Saturday. And it's not really for people who ESS volunteers, although they're definitely going to be there. It is designed for ordinary folk to say, so the road gets shut down for a few days, what are we going to do? Or power outage, or, the big one, because that's, all on everybody's mind right now with the shakeout coming out at the end of the month. And for people in geographic areas such as, Sutton Road or Hitatsu, or like myself, I live in Millstream, just we'll go to the high school and everything will be taken care of. That isn't what's going to happen. There might be transportation difficulties. And so for people, in geographic areas like that, as well as people who are in natural areas in town, so like the trailer park, or if you live in a strata or an apartment, a cul-de-sac, a certain area, that this, the workshop presenter, Sybil Sanderson, will go through, what are the steps? You take care of yourself first, but then you're going to reach out to your community, and especially in communities like this, we all want to help each other. So really giving you some practical application on how you can do that. And it's, about meeting with your neighbors and finding out who's in your community. I certainly, if something happens and I'm in Millstream, I have two neighbors that I know have generators.
I was just going to say, so that would be the kind of thing you would do. You kind of go down a checklist and find out what are the facilities that are valuable to you. I know I'm diabetic, so one of my first things would be, okay, if my fridge got crushed by the building collapsing, where am I going to get insulin?
Absolutely.
Is the pharmacy going to be able to provide for all of the diabetics in town for who knows how long, if transportation, if the airport is damaged or what have you? Well,
and certainly, the district of Ucluelet, who we've been working for, they don't have a stockpile of stuff, People, you have to be prepared for 72 hours on your own, and it's not just the big one. It's, the road goes out or the power goes out or something like that. So, and looking in your community, in your neighborhood, who are the people in your neighborhood who are going to need extra support? Is there somebody who's diabetic or elderly or a mom with a number of children or that kind of thing, and saying, what skills do I bring to my neighborhood that I can help my neighborhood in an emergency? And then, what things is my neighborhood going to need to help me with? One of the things is I'm a real pet person, and I've done a couple of workshops looking at what they learned from the Hurricane Katrina situation, and people had to leave their pets behind, and it's just horrible. Well, I'm not leaving my pet behind, but I need to be prepared for that situation as well. Who in your neighborhood has, pets? Have they made a plan? If you are not going to leave your pet behind, then you need to have like a crate so you can take it with you, that kind of thing. And so,
and 72 hours worth of dog food.
Yes, exactly, and any medication that your pet may be on as well. So, there's lots of things like that. So, Sybil will really be looking at, those preliminary kind of meeting with your neighbors. What kinds of things should you talk about? What kinds of things should you plan about? And it's a real starting step. We really want, sort of gung-ho people from each, sort of neighborhood, to come out. And so if you're sort of like, when we've been at the co-op with the emergency kits, people are saying, oh, well, we're ready. We're ready. Good, you're ready. Are you ready with your neighbors?
Because they may not be ready, and it could become, a lack of planning on their part could become another emergency on your part.
Absolutely. So it's just, and we're doing this in conjunction with the January 26th Shakeout BC. So January 26th will be the 300-year anniversary of the last big earthquake tsunami event here on the West Coast. They've have that information from the oral traditions of the Nuu-chah-nulth people here, as well as combining that with the written history in Japan.
History and stuff. Yeah, that's wacky how they worked all that.
I know.
I talked to Jacqueline Wind about that a couple of years back on the anniversary. We did a big interview. The information and what she had to talk about the emergency potential of that earthquake. I think this is a BC-wide drill, basically.
It's a BC-wide drill. I believe there's events happening actually stretching into the U.S. as well, because it's an event that's going to affect this entire West Coast. So, don't quote me. I think it's 10 o'clock at 10 a.m. I can't remember if it's 10 or 11, because I think here at the elementary school we'll be doing a school-wide, drill. I can't remember what time we're doing that at. The hope is that every home and business and location in BC will practice an earthquake drill at that time. So dropping down underneath something like a table or a desk or a bed or into a doorway, holding on, covering your eyes for whatever is flying around, counting to 60, and then using your evacuation plan. So thinking about, where is it going to be safe to exit? So here at the school, our plan is not to do any exiting from the front of the building because there's power lines and roads and emergency vehicles. So we plan to evacuate from whichever safe entrances we have from the back of the school, so that we'll be on the field and out of the way of any first responders that are coming here.
One of the things I read on the Shakeout website was another thing to consider is other events that might occur around you during an earthquake, heavy equipment that could fall over, pipes that could burst, and you said power lines that could come down that could happen right in your workspace. You might be hiding under your desk just fine, but your desk might be right beside a giant 600-pound filing cabinet that's going to cause you some grief or something.
Well, and that's one of the things with occupational health and safety is that every work site should be doing a walkthrough, and I know that's one of the checklists here at the school, is that there are no heavy objects above. If there's boxes, they can't be heavy. There can't be heavy stuff in them. And things like filing cabinets and hot water tanks and stuff should be strapped down so that they aren't going to be shifting during an event. there's so much to do.
Yeah, for sure. So we do have a website for that. I think it's the greatshakeoutbc.com, something like that.
.com or .ca. I think that I can ask Mandy Ward to forward that. I actually got a huge email from them today that I can pass on to you to post up.
Sure. Well, we'll be running spots about it for the next couple of weeks as we head up to the shakeout, and then we will be running. There's a produced bit of audio to run right at 10 o'clock during the drill that kind of walks people through the process if they hadn't already read up on it. So we should be able to stay on top of that.
Yeah. Well, and here at the elementary school, because that's where I work. Certainly we'll be doing the drill with the kids, and we'll be having our plan here at the school. I mean, it won't be new to our students here. We do 2 or 3 drills a year. Yeah. But for families around the kitchen table that night, to say, so if we're at home and this happens, where do we meet? Yeah. When we run out of our house, where do we all go?
It's funny how many times I remember as a kid when there would be a fire drill at school, coming home and being the one to go to my parents, hey, why don't we ever do a fire drill? Have we ever checked the smoke alarm? It was never my dad that said, hey, we got to check the smoke alarm. It was always that day when I come home from school that we did it.
This is the drill that we did. And certainly really hoping for people to come out. It's to the neighborhood program workshop. It's open to all West Coast residents.
If I drive from Tofino, you won't chase me out? No,
absolutely not. In fact, we're really hoping to get some people from Tofino. I know we've been in touch with Dorothy Ning, who's overseeing the emergency program response up there, and just and then just to have some information. Maybe you aren't the person who wants to take the lead in your community, but with that information, and certainly myself and members of my team will help facilitate that and other when you want to take it to the next step. And any information is good information.
So that's Saturday, January 22nd, 9 a.m. till 3 p.m.
Yes.
At the Ucluelet Community Center.
Correct.
So it's only a half day, so you can still go down to Ucluelet, or if you're already in Ucluelet, and spend the afternoon walking on the trail.
On the trail, yeah. And I've been to workshops with Sybil. I actually did what should have been a very boring workshop with Sybil up in Courtenay, and she is an excellent presenter, knows her facts. She wears a multitude of hats in the Cowichan Valley related to emergency response. So let's have our fingers crossed that they're not flooding down there that weekend. And lunch will be provided, so as long as people RSVP to me, I will have that prepared so that they can reach me by phone, which is 250-726-2311. My answering machine is always on. And by email, and that's S as in surf-kayak @uniserve.com, and I'm sure you guys will have that. It's posted on the West Coaster. I know that already.
Yeah, we'll stick a little something up on our website as well.
Yeah. So, we'll be really happy to have lots of people come out.
All right. One other thing we should mention quick, since I guess it's today, I don't know if there was kind of a pre-registration aspect to it, but there's also an amateur radio course that could be one of those skills you could offer in an emergency situation. That's today at noon till 6, and then through the weekend, I guess, as well.
I do believe that there's a pre-registration aspect, because I heard somebody talking about the great big reading that goes with it.
Oh, a little homework beforehand.
But if somebody really wants to do amateur radio, and this is the first time they've heard about it, I'm sure they can get in touch with Amanda Ward at the District of Ucluelet and plead their case for sure. So.
All right. I always think of amateur radio as just what I do.
It's just a piece of the puzzle.
I do appreciate you calling this morning.
Yeah.
And sounds like a great program, and I look forward to working with all the emergency response people in the future. We're working on getting ourselves set up to operate in the case of power outages and whatnot with a newer air-to-air system that'll be more reliable in those situations, and hopefully be able to get more emergency information out in the event of an emergency.
And communication is key. I mean, I was here in 2003 or 2004. We had a tsunami warning in June, and the town just went nuts. There was no communication from anybody, and certainly some of those things have been tightened up, but having a source of information that everybody knows that they can turn to is a huge way to prevent panic. If you don't have your plan already in place, you can, okay, that's what they're telling me to do, I'll go do that.
Okay, here's 5 easy steps to improve your odds.
Yes, exactly. Well, the first one is if it's shaking so hard that you can't stand up, once it stops, get to high ground. Nobody's going to come around and tell you that the tsunami is coming. If it's shaking that hard, you just need to move.
Make the assumption. All right, that's good to know. I'm up on the hill, so I'm kind of hoping that it'll turn my condo into island property.
Well, I do joke to my friends who have vacation rentals on the road below me at Millstream that we were thinking about calling ourselves above the tsunami line, but they didn't think that was so funny. Anyways, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for dropping us in again. The neighborhood dropping in on us. The neighborhood workshop is on January 22nd from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. at the Ucluelet Community Center, and the Great British Columbia Shakeout takes place on the 26th at 10 a.m. and you can find out more information by searching either of those things, I guess, online. I just searched Ucluelet ESS actually on Yahoo, and the first thing that popped up was the information about the courses, so easy to find.
Perfect.
All right, thanks for dropping in.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.